people, the large groups don't exist. It's only when we know an individual in that large group, when they bring the story of a person, that they become real to us.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's
you know,
charity marketing 101.
But it's also human reality that we can't care about a large group as much as we can individual.
Yeah. I've heard of experiments where that's been put to the test, where the experiment in name only, and I am wrapping up for this, is that they're doing this task and then they get a reward, but then at the end, the real experiment is they're given different scenarios of, this tiny, and they have a picture of this girl with a very African name, and they give her, would you donate part of this money that you just got from this experiment to help her buy shoes? Or versus, that same scenario, they have now expendable cash in their hand, and they're given this rundown of, 1.35 million people die of malaria every year. Would you be willing to give? And the numbers we don't comprehend,
Right.
Because why? Let's look at that from an evolutionary standpoint. Because the people that we needed to care about, we've always had faces. We've always known. We've always had a connection for. So we don't know how to think about other scenarios. And let me just pose one other thing. This is not really wrapping up, but I do want you to see how awesome of a topic that this is, that we can think about this in two different ways. Next week we're going to think about the timeline of human evolution and how that has created us in the present. But it's also possible to do the exact opposite, of say, let's look at us, let's put us under microscopes, let's figure out who we are as humans, and then what does that tell us about our evolution? And that's a little more opaque, and maybe you can get into some kind of bad science with that. But it's still a really interesting question. Let me just pique your interest a little bit. Let's give a scenario. Let's talk about the way we think about morality today, and maybe what are the evolutionary explanations for that? And maybe this will start you to think of your own questions and kind of pique your interest for next week. Let's talk about kind of in the very conservative right wing kind of gay bashing or very conservative view of marriage, and gays can't marry, that's an abomination to the Lord. Where did that kind of thinking come from? I really do think that's a very interesting evolutionary question of, how is it that we have, as humans, have evolved? Let's take the religion and culture thing out for a second, because even those are product of biological minds. So let's stop ourselves from always using that as the default explanation. What is the evolutionary explanation of why there is so much bigotry against homosexuality? How did that evolve? Because I think that helps us be able to connect and understand and be able to reason with people about that subject, as well as a whole host of other ones. You start to really get below the surface and see, my gosh, this is a new, fascinating, incredibly helpful way of viewing who we are as organisms.
So now you're getting into the difference between conventionality and morality. And all of our religions came out of the people that were arguing about, are you just being conventional, or are you actually being moral?
Yeah, but even those have biological explanations, which we can talk about. So I only say that to kind of pique your interest. Let's summarize before we stand up, and then we really will be done. So morality is a tool that keeps groups together. It deals with conflict and increases cohesion. Species develop these mutually beneficial relationships by sacrificing the now in exchange for the long-term good. That is what the prisoner's dilemma would lead us to. And selfish genes are not only concerned with being passed on through their offspring, but also in the copies of their relatives, which is going to be the cause, or the root cause of all the other adaptations that we're going to talk about next week. All right, thanks guys.
And